All right, Daily Coppock time. How you doing, everybody? I'm Chet Coppock. Take a good look at the gentleman up here. In my opinion, he is the most destructive defensive football player in National Football League history, save a gentleman who played for the Chicago Bears by the name of Richard Marvin Dick Butkus. Lawrence Taylor, you have got severe trouble. When your attorney, on the day that you plead not guilty to raping a 16-year-old runaway in a Manhattan hotel, is already talking about a plea bargain, you know what? It looks like you might be in line for an orange jumpsuit. How do you root for a guy like Lawrence Taylor? Look at his track record. He's got a rap sheet from my fingertips up to my elbow. He's been a deadbeat dad. He's been a drug user. He's been suspended by the National Football League. Lawrence Taylor has been given more chances than Regis Philbin, for heaven's sakes. You know what? This case is going to turn on one point. The pimp who lined up Taylor with the 16-year-old runaway in the Manhattan hotel is going to turn state's evidence, obviously, to save his tush. That means, LT, get used to it, pal. You're going to wind up in an orange jumpsuit. All right, last night I wasn't wearing an orange jumpsuit, but I was wearing a straitjacket. Did you watch the Major League Baseball All-Star Game? 2 hours and 59 minutes, 90 minutes of which had to be television commercials? I'm sorry, I was bored to tears. I'm happy for Brian McCann, you know, the 7th inning, the 3-run double, the National League gets the win. First win since 1996 when, between you and I, Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky were exchanging cigars. But you know what? I'm sorry, the game was just listless. For heaven's sakes, the broadcast began at 7 o'clock Chicago time, and the first pitch came so much later, I thought I was watching the Jerry Lewis telethon. Meanwhile, let's go to the Rust Belt. Let's go over to Cleveland, Ohio. If you believe this one, then you probably believe the roller derby is on the square. The Cleveland Cavaliers are reporting that their beloved owner, Dan Gilbert, fined 100 grand by David Stern in the NBA for his vitriolic, that's the biggest word I know this side of delicatessen, for his vitriolic comments about LeBron James, that they're receiving cash and checks from Cavalier fans who want to help poor old Dan pay off his $100,000 penalty. Nobody roots for club owners. Do the Cavaliers think we're dumb enough to believe that? The fans are actually mailing in dough to a club owner to pay off a fine? I don't care how much they dislike LeBron. I don't care how pissed off the downtown merchants are. Nobody is going to mail in money to Dan Gilbert to help him pay off a fine with the NBA. All right, gang, we got to have a serious talk. Women's sports in America, save Serena and Venus, right now are dead on arrival. It's time to call in the priest. You want a couple of examples? I don't even know who this babe is, but she won the U.S. Women's Open on Sunday, and that U.S. Women's Open pulled a whopping 1.1 national rating. You can do better than that with reruns of The Honeymooners, with 847,000 homes. But we aren't done yet. This is appointment television on my summer calendar each and every year. I wouldn't dream of missing the WNBA All-Star Game. I wouldn't dream of missing the WNBA All-Star Game. If I say that 15 times, I might actually believe it. The WNBA All-Star Game, boy, let me tell you, did it get knocked off by U.S. Women's Open golf. The All-Star Game did a .4 rating, 348,000 homes. Maybe it's time for all the chicks involved in sports to take a tip from the Lingerie Football League and maybe sex it up a little bit. Because right now, women's sports in this country, as I mentioned, are absolutely DOA. With all due respect to the memory of the ship magnate and longtime owner of the New York Yankees, you know what? I'm absolutely thrilled. I thought for certain that Cliff Lee from the Seattle Mariners was going to wind up with the New York Yankees, which meant he would have tag team with CeCe Sabathia, with Andy Pettitte, with Hughes. He would have been one more tremendous gem in the Joe Girardi army. I was so thrilled that the Seattle Mariners dealt him to the Texas Rangers just because I don't like the New York Yankees. I was brought up to dislike Yogi Berra, Mickey Mantle, Hank Bauer, and Moose Skowron. Hey, rooting for the Yankees is like rooting for IBM or U.S. Steel. It was nice for a change to see the Yankees, when they thought they had a deal done, wind up in a chokehold. All right, speaking of chokeholds, who says we don't cover all tabs? Oh, yeah, with Mean Gene there in the middle. The Macho Man, my good friend Randy Poffo, a.k.a. Randy Savage, who, by the way, did you know this? He was a National Honor Society student in Downers Grove. He played minor league baseball, and his manager was Jimmy Pearsall. And you want to know why the Macho Man might be a little bit off his rocker? Anyway, I went on the WWE website, which is one of those websites I love to scan. And Randy Macho Man Savage is listed as the #1 Intercontinental Champion of all time, which in the real world is kind of like being the world's tallest midget. All right, let's get down to business. I know 2 or 3 of you yesterday purchased my book, Fat Guys Shouldn't Be Dancing at Halftime. I want to talk to you about America's premier gatecrasher. You probably don't know his name, but I guarantee you that most of you have seen him. You may have seen him at the Cell, Cubs Park, the UC, Yankee Stadium. I want to talk about Jerry Burley. He's a burned-out attorney who lost his license in the Graylord scandal back in the 1980s. Jerry is, without question, the greatest gatecrasher I have ever seen. You talk about prolific, this guy crashed Prince Charles and Lady Di's wedding. I remember being down in New Orleans in 1978 for the Muhammad Ali-Leon Spinks rematch. And I'm sitting in a bar with a bunch of out-of-town guys, and I'm weaving Jerry Burley stories about him crashing ball games, crashing this, crashing that, crashing rock concerts, and they think I'm kidding. I said, you mark my words. The first time we walk into the New Orleans Superdome, we will see Jerry Burley. So we go across to the Superdome, and we're back in the dressing room area, back in the press area. Who's the first guy we see? Jerry Burley. What's he wearing? A sticker, Leon Spinks dressing room. Another sticker, Muhammad Ali's dressing room. A badge, ABC Sports. I remember being the public address announcer for the last college all-star game back in 1976. We had a meeting the day of the game at the downtown Conrad Hilton Hotel. And we were all kind of introducing ourselves at the request of Cooper Rallo, the sports editor of the Chicago Tribune. The Tribune was the sponsor of the ball game. And we're going around the table, and Eric Barsegian, I coach the All-Stars. Chuck Noll, he coached the Pittsburgh Steelers. Chet Forty, I'm the director from ABC Sports. Lee Grosscup, I'll be doing sidelines. Chet Coppock, I'm the public address announcer. Jerry Burley didn't say a thing. Nobody said a word. Why? Because he had an ABC badge on, a college All-Stars badge on, and a Pittsburgh Steelers locker room access badge on. That Jerry Burley, let me tell you, he may be a jerk. There was some talk at one time that Jerry was actually connected with the mob. I'm telling you, it couldn't happen. Guys like Angelo the Hook LaPietra and Tony Big Tuna Accardo could never deal with the mentality of Jerry Burley. All right, let's wrap it up. We're going to join you again tomorrow with more topics. Meanwhile, I thought this band was going to be an absolute supergroup. I thought back in 1999 they were going to be the second coming of, I don't know, the Dave Clark Five. Do you remember the New Radicals? And you only get what you give. This is a great, great rock and roll song. Have yourself a great Wednesday. We'll see you on Thursday. I'm Coppock. Arrivederci.